Hello, you snacks. Welcome back. This is a cat. It's not mine, sadly. No, I'm just cat sitting for the current holiday period. Anyway, it's time to read some Reddit stories. Let's begin. Its name is Teddy, by the way. This is Teddy. This story began 6 days ago by Eat a Moon Pie in r/relationship advice. My brother's widowed fiancé's dead husband is not dead. This is so freaking ridiculous. I don't know where to start. For as long as I can remember, my brother's been the golden boy, and I've been the screw-up. I'm obviously an accident. I had some difficulties in school, and by the time I came around, my parents were peaking in their careers and too busy for me, and he was too old to hang out with me. About 2 years ago, Golden Boy introduced us to his girlfriend, Sarah, not her real name. She's beautiful and tall and tragic, exactly my brother's type. Sarah said she was previously married, but her husband suddenly died from a rare heart condition. Basically, he dropped dead at like 28 or 29. In the aftermath, she left her home state, went no contact with her family and old friends. My brother says they were harmful during her grief journey, moved across the country, and reinvented herself. This was like 4 years ago. Immediately, I did not like. She seemed fake. It was just a vibe thing that I couldn't vocalize. But also, it didn't matter. My parents loved Sarah. Like, the moment they met her, they started including her in family vacations, birthday dinners, and within a few months, my mum was saying stuff like, "I think she's the one for your brother." Now, Sarah has no social media. She has a super unusual last name, and over the past 2 years, I've Googled it from time to time. Some recent stuff comes up, like stuff related to her job, but nothing from before her move, and nothing related to her husband. Nothing comes up. And she's cagey and weird about him. If you ask anything about what he was like, or his name, she gets teary, and then Goldie jumps in. Now, they got engaged a few months ago, so every conversation right now is about wedding planning. Sarah has very few friends, none from her past life, so I'm in the bridal party with some of their mutual friends. We went bridesmaid dress shopping a few weeks ago, and I went to Venmo her payment for my dress, and then I was like, I wonder how far back this goes. Now, I'll just jump in to add some context regarding Venmo, because not everyone in the world actually uses it. Venmo, you can send money to people, but it shows every transaction you've made publicly on the app. Kinda like a social media feed. It's weird, people use it though. So, OP decides to scroll down Sarah's Venmo profile, and wow, it goes back pretty freaking far. Mostly payments between her and my brother, and hairstylists or nail artists, but I saw one Venmo from a guy that looked like it was for living expenses. And when I Googled him, I found his Instagram. And on his Instagram, I found a wedding photo from 2017. And in that wedding photo, he was the groom and Sarah was the bride. And that dude is still alive, like very alive. He posted 3 days ago. He's remarried with kids. I found her siblings, her old maiden name, and her whole old life once I found her ex's account. So I don't know what to do. Part of me is like, oh, maybe the relationship ended badly, and that's why she goes around saying he's dead? Part of me is like, well, maybe she's in witness protection. I mean, she's screwed if she is, because I eventually found her. Part of me is like, do I need to tell my brother? Do I tell her? Like, pull her aside and be like, hey sis, what's up? I screenshotted everything, so I have proof. I just don't know if I should sit on it or tell someone. Well, what do the comments suggest? In terms of confronting them about it, one suggests that this would be coming from an anonymous email or something if it were me, because I do think that your brother should know, but it doesn't sound like the two of you are close enough for him to just believe you. Plus, do you really want to be caught up in this potential mess? It could be something, or it could be nothing, but it'll probably be a bit messy. With the OP being ever so maturely saying, low-key, I want credit for figuring out that she was lying, lol, but it would definitely be messy. So it already seems like OP's not really doing this out of concern for their brother, but more just a petty little, ha-ha, a facade I have uncovered. Because the thing is, though, a lot of comments actually theorize that the brother already knows. Yeah, plot twist, your brother knows she's not a window, and he's complicit in the lie. God knows mum and dad would be a bit less welcoming of a divorced woman. OP responds, I could actually see that. My parents are traditional. Thing is though, many also theorize that this could be some sort of scam. Maybe she's actually still very cordial with her ex-husband, and Sarah's siphoning the golden boy's money off to this guy so then she can eventually divorce him and get away with a lot of extra cash. But ultimately, comments are more about concern than suspicion. That I'ma plant the seed and say that your brother already knows all this. This was just her story to extended family and in-laws so that she can move past an abusive relationship. She very well might have told your brother the truth from the very start and they just want to go digging skeletons out of the closet. See, if you expose her and it turns out to be some tragic turn of events, like it was abusive, there's a restraining order, legal issues, etc., that she didn't want to involve your family with, you're 100% going to end up looking like the malicious child who did vengeful research to expose her. Now, OP does say that that's so valid, I'll think about that. But we do come to the update 4 days later. And what choices does the OP make here? Well, I felt really affirmed by a lot of the comments that 1, I shouldn't involve my parents at all, and 2, she might have a tragic reason for changing everything in her life and be a victim, so I shouldn't approach it like I'm happy to be stirring the pot. So I ended up texting Goldie to ask if I could call him on Tuesday night. And when I called him, the freak put me on speaker because they were cooking, so I was like, screw it. And I just told them everything about the Venmo, the husband's Instagram, etc. I framed it like, I'm nosy and I don't care, but wanted to say something in case Goldie didn't know or you both don't want other people to find this. And Goldie was like, you're an idiot, of course I know. Because their marriage certificate will say that she's been married before. For a moment, I thought we were going to get into a fight, but honestly, Sarah kind of diffused it, and the three of us ended up talking for a few hours about Sarah's background, why she lied, me and Goldie's parents, and our relationship. I won't go into everything we talked about, but basically, Sarah grew up religious. I don't want to say too much because I don't want to disparage people in this religion, but she said that it's closer to a cult than a real faith. I don't know enough about it to comment. Around 5 to 6 years ago, she started having doubts and eventually left it. Unfortunately, in this religion, if you leave, everyone is supposed to avoid you. So her family and friends stopped talking to her, and the relationship with her husband got really tense. She said he was the only person who could talk to her, but the love was gone. She felt like the church was trying to torture her back into joining, and that made her be like, screw it, we bowl. Like, if everyone's going to act like I'm dead, I might as well start a new life. So she moved away, started dating, divorced her husband, and picked a new last name. She said at first she told new people her background, but knowing about her old faith made people judge her and ask a lot of questions she wasn't comfortable with. So eventually, she just started telling people she was a widow because it was easier and was how she felt. When she first met my brother, that's what she told him, but she told him the truth a few months into dating. Goldie says they decided together to keep her background from my family for reasons that make a lot of sense considering the type of people my parents are. Ultimately, I'm glad I told them. For the first time, maybe ever, I feel like I'm a part of something with my brother. It's weird, but kind of nice. Now, one conversation would undo the past 24 years of our relationship, but I feel bad for underestimating him and writing her off. It's not his fault that to me he's 100,000 years old and that our parents kind of suck. We had a nice Christmas together, and I could tell they both were trying to engage me more than usual. Maybe because they have some respect for me, maybe because they're scared, lol. But either way, I feel a little seen by them, and I feel like I see them more. Thanks again. Make sure your Venmos are set to private. So thank God, probably the best case scenario for this sort of resolution. People say, so happy to hear this. Also, the fact you noticed she is putting up a front and is fake is because she may be trying to hide this side to her. So probably with time, you both could have a good relationship too. And now Goldie has someone to talk to and not feel as isolated. Which, yes, is a good point. The older I get, the more I realize that most fake people are just socially awkward. Like, let's remind ourselves she came from what is essentially an isolating cult. OP wasn't picking up someone being fake and suspicious and deceptive aggressive and all that kind of stuff. She was just an innocent person who just lacked social skills, and OP took that as malicious. But now, not as many people are as hopeful that this is turning a new leaf in OP. A bunch are saying that this all makes you look kind of terrible. If you hate these people this much, just go no contact with your family. Like, you went 8 years back into this woman's Venmo and Instagram to try to pull a gotcha to destroy his engagement? Sad. Now, while we can argue that she wasn't trying to destroy an engagement, but just to, expose someone who seemed to have been putting up a facade this entire time, others still say, exactly my thoughts, she's like 2 to 3 days into a possible new dynamic with her brother who she has a lot of understandable but misplaced resentment towards. That's not going to go away overnight. Hopefully they keep talking and things improve over the years. Oh, and shout out to Sarah for choosing to de-escalate the conversation and not let it devolve into a fight. This could have been bad. Yeah, honestly, I feel like Sarah was the one who actually became the hero moment in this entire story. It seems apparent that she understood where OP wasn't necessarily trying to come from a case of, I'm going to try and ruin everything and ruin your life, tee-hee-hee, but more so just like a concerned family member wondering if hey, is my brother being, pulled along on something here? What's going on? But are you someone who has a rough connection with your siblings? Or maybe you have a close connection with your siblings? How do you reckon OP's going to handle this from now on? Do you reckon they're going to be repaired bridges? Or do you think that this is just putting some really cheap cement over a pothole? For now, though, we'll go over to the next story. This story started a month ago by That One Girly X05. I'm 21 female. My friend, also 21 female, invited herself on my trip and won't take no for an answer. Advice, please? My US friend group is pretty diverse, and we've all visited each other's home countries in the past 2 years. We've either stayed in a hotel or a family home, depending on the space. I'm going to my home country for 2 months and a half in the summer. All of my friends have known since Christmas, and all of them know it's not an open invite like usual because I'm not going for fun. I'm spending my time there with my family, and I'm going to be busy with my fiancé finalizing everything wedding related. So, my friend decided that she didn't want to go home for the summer. Instead, she wanted to come with me, and decided that she'll just stay at my family home like before. I told her that it really won't be a good time. Plus, we're not opening the family home for anyone outside of family this year, for a very good reason. But instead of accepting that, she asked about my other accommodations. I told her they're in use and not available. I didn't offer a hotel, and from the way she's been talking, she can't afford one right now herself. So, instead of giving up, she said that she can just go there and figure it out then, which, in my opinion, translates to, I will fly there and make it your problem so you have no choice but to accommodate me. I told her that if she does that, she'll have to truly figure it out on her own, because I'm not budging or folding. She laughed it off and told me that obviously, because she didn't mean it like an ultimatum. I asked her if she's okay, if there's something going on at home or with her personally, etc., because it's not like her to do something like this. She said everything's good. I, however, feel like I'm stuck. If she goes through with her brilliant figure-it-out plan, she'll be a foreign woman in a country she's only visited twice before with a guide, aka me, who doesn't speak the native language or understand the map, etc. I can't leave her alone no matter what I warned her I'd do. Advice, please? Obviously, you have to suspect something is up with this friend that they're willing to skip out on their own family just to go hang out with OP instead. Now, there was no controversial opinions in the comments, mainly just some sound advice, the best one being, I'd just be really direct with her. Hey, I know we usually travel in groups, but this trip really is just for fiancé and I. We're staying with family, and we've got a packed schedule. I genuinely will not have the time to spend with you nor space to accommodate you. And then just leave it. Don't share any more info about your trip, not the date you're going or the flight you're booked on. She's an adult, and if she makes the choice to go down there on vacation, that's totally up to her. But she'll have to fend for herself because you've made it clear this was not an open invitation and you're not going to be entertaining or hosting her. And hey, to be fair, maybe this friend just really loved OP's country. Well, despite this, OP says, the thing is that I've already told her all of this, but I think she thinks we're being overdramatic or something. Now, she doesn't know the exact date I'm leaving or my flight details, but she doesn't need to, in a way. Like, she knows the time frame, which is early July to early September, so she can technically fly there within that. I know that if she does go through with it, that I need to stick to my guns, but I will also be worried about her because it's the same person who's gotten lost in malls multiple times. So you can understand that OP is less inclined to go with their veiled threat of leaving their friends to fend for themselves. And with all the sound advice in the comments, OP comes back with an edit that is more like an update. So I took the advice and sent her a long text, copy-pasted from one of the comments with just a few things changed up. Then I sent another text to my friend's group chat just to make sure, again, that they know it's not an open invite, and then I wrote out why I'm making sure and what's been said between my friend and I. She left me on scene privately, but replied in the group chat that she's not daft. She understood me perfectly the first time, and what she decides to do with her time and vacation is none of my business. I told her that she should stop making it my business then and stop telling me about her summer plans altogether if it involves my home country. She then replied that I don't have a claim to the country, and that my family's reason for not opening up our home is stupid, and that we need to get over ourselves because it's not the second coming of Christ. I told her she's free to her opinion, just like I'm free to mine, and that in my opinion, she's acting like an entitled brat. I added that she should lose my number until she's ready to apologize, tell me what's wrong, because she's clearly not okay in my opinion, it's not like her, and talk it out like adults. If anyone's wondering, what she perceives as not the second coming of Christ is my eldest brother and his wife welcoming their second baby in mid-July, and my parents, my older brothers and I, being the village that we are, and helping them while also spoiling my toddler nephew rotten. So, no guests or visitors are allowed outside of our immediate family while my sister-in-law heals and she and my brother adjust, per their request. So, an understandable explanation. OP is an absolutely selfish, entitled a-hole for daring to not let their friend be around just because their family requested it? Understandably, we're all on the friend's side. Well, it is a month later that we finally find out this friend's true intentions to be so desperate to come along with OP. Right, so I was asked to update when I made my first post, and I thought I would if she did end up coming after August or September. However, things ended up happening much sooner. We didn't talk for nearly 2.5 weeks after my last text, and I didn't see her much at Hangouts since she was mad at the rest of our friends as well. See, they didn't exactly take sides, but they did point out that her plan was plain stupid. Anyway, she ended up coming to one of the girls' places for a group dinner, and we had a private-ish chat. She finally opened up about why she's acting like that, and as it turns out, she has a huge crush on one of my brothers, and was hoping she'd get him alone this summer and shoot her shot with him. It's annoying, but I've been used to having friends having crushes on my brothers and my dad my whole life, so I just let her talk. She admitted that she has been sending him DMs on Instagram trying to get to know him, but he's been politely cordial at best and ignores half of her texts. Then she started asking me about him, about his dating history, which had me disgusted because he's bi, and she wanted statistics on if he's been more into girls or guys so she can figure out her chances, and then asked me to help her out. She gave me examples of moments that happened on our last trip with me and my brother, dancing, water fights, karaoke, etc., that I could help her recreate with him, which is just disturbing because she made my brother and I sound romantic, and it just helped multiply my disgust. When she was done, I told her that she needed to come out of her fantasy and back to reality. She was starting to creep me the hell out. I told her that the fact is, my brother isn't shy. If he was interested in her, he would act like it, and him ignoring her speaks volumes. Besides that, I told her that she knows I don't involve myself in any of my brother's relationships, and even if I did, I would never allow anyone to use me for insider information. Then I said that this conversation was over and to never bring it up with me again. She got mad and told me that I'm possessive and acting like a guard dog to my brothers, and that I need to get over myself because there was a spark between them on our last trip. I just got up, said bye to my friends, and left because she's clearly deluded herself into believing something that doesn't exist. Because on our last trip, my brother was actually so into the guy he was seeing at the time that he accidentally called the rest of our brothers by his name multiple times. So anyway, I've cut her off completely, and with everything that's happening right now, she got scared of traveling and dropped her plans. That's what she told my friends. It sucks to lose her as a friend, since we were close and all that, and I don't know how it'll affect the group yet, but stuff happens, and I have too much going on to dwell on it right now. I, on the other hand, have moved up my traveling and will hopefully be back in my home country in the next few days, along with my family, which will allow us to celebrate my dad and one of my brothers on Father's Day, so yay, we celebrate on the 21st there. And there's the secret, folks. Turns out the friend was simply horny. Comments are anxious, though. Might want to warn your brother about her. Her obsession is creepy at best and could very well escalate if she continues to spiral into delusions. But OP lets us know that I already talked to him, and he just shrugged it off. It makes sense for him, I guess, not to be worried, since he doesn't live in the US and is only going to be in our home country for the planned time frame like the rest of us. So a moment of silence for this friend who made the mistake of trying to use one's sibling to basically be like, hey, can you help me bone your brother? Specifically on this family holiday trip where he's going to be surrounded by his family? Yes, I would like to jump his bones then, please. What do you think, though? You think that OP's gatekeeping her handsome baby brother boys from all these suitors in the world? Is she allowed the audacity, or should she have kept a neutral stance and asked her brother first if it was okay? You know, just completely ignoring the actual family request of, no guests. Let me know that stupid hypothetical question in the comments down below. In the meantime, I'll end things there for today. Thank you as always for watching. Love your face, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.